Mason Park non-native turtles. Mason is in the city of Irvine, Orange County, California. This is my 7th video on the natural history of Mason Regional Park, part of my Field Notes series. You can see the previous titles on this slide. Here's a downloadable map showing Mason Park, especially the western part and the lake. There is a junior ranger program by Orange County Parks at Mason Park centered on its invasive turtles. Show you a little bit about that. Here's information about the program. All website references will be repeated on the show notes, and they're also on the slides. Earn yourself a William Mason Regional Park Junior Ranger badge by completing this Junior Ranger adventure. We will be learning about what makes an animal invasive and watching the behavior of Mason's turtles. And here's another website about the program. Let's start by defining what an invasive species is, and this is an AI overview on Google. An invasive species is a non-native organism, turtle is an organism, that has been introduced to a new area and causes or is likely to cause economic harm, environmental harm, or harm to human health. To be considered invasive, a species must be non-native, establish itself in the new environment, spread, and then cause negative effects. These negative effects can include harming native species, reducing biodiversity, altering habitats, and costing significant amounts of money, sometimes trying to remove them. Of the 3 non-native turtle species you might see at Mason Park, only the red-eared slider has established itself in the new environment and qualifies as an invasive species. 99% of the Mason turtles are red-eared sliders. How many Mason Lake turtles can you expect to see on any given sunny day, at least in the summer? Let's do a video census of the Rocky Lake edge for turtles. My numbers, which I'll show you, are from a few August 2025 censuses done on hot, sunny days. So here's where turtles can be found, sunning themselves on lakeshore rocks. A video census on August 31st had a high count of 102 individuals around 10 a.m. when I did the filming. And then there was a low count of 79 on September 1st around the same time. Most turtles counted were on the rocks, although I did count some turtle heads that were in the water. The number of sunning turtles on a given rocky segment can fluctuate even over the course of the morning. And so here is a morning look. I did a number of video censuses on the rocks in that area where the X is, and you can see that it depends on the time how many turtles you would see on the rocks. August 31st, 2025. Here's one area on my count where I recorded 60 turtles. If you do a similar count, record the date, the time of the day, the number of nearby walkers who may disturb the turtles, they just, slide right into the water, and the amount of sun and cloud cover. This is a video going right to left. Where are the turtles? Are there no rocks? Ah, there's some turtles. Some more. You see the different sizes? There's a turtle in the water. A mallard duck. and some cormorants. So my census does not provide information on the total turtle population in the lake. Only a capture-recapture of marked individuals might get at that number. I don't know how many there turtles are. There could be 300, there could be 400. Where did the first arriving mason non-native turtle species come from? And I'm going to address the second question in a second. All three species of turtle presently at the park have original distribution ranges outside of California. Thus, we can be pretty certain that the species got here by, quote, human assistance, or to put it bluntly, illegal dumping of unwanted pet turtles into the park lake. I asked AI what the laws were in California for disposing turtles in public parks. You can see here is an overview, an AI overview, that releasing a pet turtle in public parks is illegal and punishable as a misdemeanor. The law prohibits abandoning any animal and also releasing non-native species, such as the common red-eared slider, into the wild. And their legal restrictions and penalties: animal abandonment, and a special one for invasive species, part of the California Fish and Game Code laws. The AI answer to my query also covered why releasing a pet turtle is harmful to the environment, and in some cases harmful to the turtle, and what to do with an unwanted pet turtle. So the second question is it true that all the non-native turtle individuals at Mason Park arrived there because of humans, because they threw humans into the lake? And you can see there are a variety of sizes correlated with a variety of ages. In addition, female sliders are larger than male sliders. Another group with an included small turtle. The image I used for the title page. And unnoticed by me at the time, there was a rock right in front of this. You can see that. And what looks like, and I'll blow this up, what looks like a hatchling nearby. It's small enough to be eaten by a grebe or the egret's herons of the park. Although I've looked till early September for more such hatchlings, I have not seen any of the original here. Whether that shows poor nest success, predation pressure, late hatching of young, or different sunning behavior of that age group, I don't know. I'll discuss nesting behavior of sliders at Mason Park in a little bit. Are these smaller turtles from unwanted pets, or were they born in Mason Park? A little history lesson here. It used to be, and I remember this 50 plus years ago, that small red-eared sliders were sold in U.S. pet stores. The species is one of the most common turtles sold throughout the world. See the article that I'm showing you on the short lifespan of these pets and this person's remembrance of their family buying multiple ones. They all died. But it was found that the smaller turtles were associated with salmonella infections. So in 1975, a U.S. law was passed that made selling turtles less than 4 inches in size illegal, though there may be an illegal trade even going on today in the United States. So that basically stopped the small turtle sales in the U.S. pet stores, but U.S. breeders still were allowed to ship the youngsters overseas, where they soon were found in the wild, competing with native species throughout the world. So our American red-eared slider is now found in every place you can imagine in the world, except Antarctica. Based on that, I can only assume that very small red-eared sliders at Mason Park are an outcome of nesting and then hatching of the turtles in the immediate area. Evidence they had established themselves in Irvine, California. What non-native turtle species might you see at Mason Park Lake? An excellent guide to identifying California turtles can be found at that californiaherps.com website. And again, that will be on the show notes. So let's look at the one you will most likely see, a red-eared slider. I'm including here from the Invasive Species Center in Canada information about red-eared sliders, and it's from an invasive species website. Red-eared sliders usually have a red stripe on the head, but some do not have the red stripe. So check the rear edge of the shell. The rear edge of the shell is serrated. Older sliders, the red ears have faded, and I'll show you this next. So here are two large red-eared turtles. The one in the back has a darker head color, as you can see, and I'm going to show you a photo of the two, plus another one taken from the other side. And here now, it shows that the head appears all black from this perspective. Here's another red-eared slider with a black head and the back of the shell showing serrated edges. So I did observe nesting behavior and even nest predators of red-eared sliders. First, an overview from AI indicating that they have been observed nesting around Mason Regional Park, where they use sunny, soft soil areas near the lake to lay their eggs. As an invasive species in California, their nesting behavior at the park contributes to their prevalence in the area. And you can see here they nest from spring to midsummer, from May to July. And females can lay multiple clutches during a single season. The females leave the water to find nesting sites on land, and they can move 200 meters, 600 feet away from the water. The sandy and grassy areas around the lake and Mason Park are potential nesting spots, and including the woodlands, as I'll show you. They nest by using their hind feet. The female digs a nest cavity that's about 4 to 5 inches deep. They may soften the ground by urinating on the soil, and then she lays 2 to 30 soft-shelled eggs and then covers them with soil. The female does not provide parental care. The incubation lasts 2 to 4 months. So let's see, if they lay eggs in May, June, July, we should start to see hatchlings like that little one I showed you in a previous slide. So it's not unusual in May. Here I'm in May walking along the walking trails. The bridge at Mason is at my back. And what's that crossing the road? Now it's a little bit out of focus, but it's a female trying to find a location to lay eggs. Now here's a turtle that I found above the Mason Park amphitheater. The amphitheater you can just barely see on the upper left side. And here's another picture of that same turtle. We're right at the edge of the urban area. I estimate on a Google map that the turtle was about, and I'll draw a line there, the turtle was about 480 feet away from the nearest shoreline. And there's the amphitheater where that note, purple note icon is. I also observed a turtle trying to nest right next to the lake. And there it is, and I decided to observe the process, but I wasn't alone. I think this is a really bad place to pick, but I wasn't alone, because soon 2 interested crows knew exactly what was happening and what could be a meal. So soon after the incident, as you can see here, they know what they're doing. The turtle went back to the lake without laying any eggs. Those light areas are probably Canada geese fecal material and not discarded eggs. There is information online about the growth of red-eared sliders and how to age them. So here is a turtle shedding its old scutes with the new ones underneath. The process leaves ridges that might be used to approximate growth rings, but other factors may influence the frequency of such shedding. And AI answers how to determine the age of a red-eared slider turtle. You count the growth rings on the scutes and divide by 2, or measure the shell and compare it to age size charts for the species, understanding that these are just approximations. You can also look for signs of ongoing growth. If the turtle is still growing, it's likely less than 7 to 10 years old. Now, to give you an idea of those rings, here's a small turtle, not as small as I showed you earlier. How many rings can you count? Well, from this distance, you can't count any. Let's zoom in. I think I'm going to zoom in again, and I might even zoom in even farther. We'll see. I count what appears to be 4 rings, thus a possible 2-year-old individual. Notice the rapid growth the first year after hatching. Oh, I do go a little farther in. Another 2 turtles and their back patterns. Can I zoom in closer to this? Yes, I can. You can see the older one is just very difficult to tell how many ridges there are. And the other one, there could be a 4-year-old, 3-year-old turtle. So, how old are these 2? I'll leave that up to you. Spiny Softshell, another turtle you might see, very hard to find. The description is a long, thin snout and a smooth, flat shell. Spiny Softshell. There's a site called iNaturalist where people submit photos they want to be identified, and it shows 3 pictures of the Mason softshell. September 13th, 2024, September 22, 2024, and May 17th, 2025. So this thing is not that easy to find. It probably is mostly underwater. I had sightings on June 20th, 9th, August 6th, and September 5th, 2025. So I was very lucky to see this, or unlucky, since it's a non-native species. My first sighting was on the rocks on the eastern edge of the lake. The second was on rocks just southwest of the bridge, and the third on the rocks of the very west rocks by the shelter. The turtle obviously moved through the lake at Mason, but rarely was seen sunning itself. It may be also that most of my field trips, until I started looking at these turtles, were done early in the morning. I started about 7 a.m. So there are the 3 locations. And here's what the turtle looked like on June 29th. Another picture of it, very definitive in terms of what it looks like. On August 6th, the turtle was sunning itself on a rock by the bridge, but as soon as someone in front of me crossed the bridge, the turtle slipped into the murky green water. And I still was able to film through the murky water a little bit of its behavior. I'm assuming that there's only one turtle that's at Mason Regional Park that's this species. You can see some small fish there. Maybe they are mosquito fish. And there is the turtle that I recorded on September 5th, 2025, just a couple of days ago. Then we have another turtle, a single individual, pronounced Ouachita. It's an eastern name for some mountain ranges there. And the iNaturalist site only shows one picture of the species taken at Mason on May 14, 2025, not too far long ago. I don't know if this is a recent abandonment. It sure looks like it from the chronology here. Or the turtle might not have been noticed among the many red-eared turtles at Mason. There are 88 pictures on iNaturalist of the red-eared turtle. The AI overview indicates it's identified by a dark ridged carapace with map-like yellow lines and a prominent serrated back edge. Distinguishing it from other map turtles by you'll see these by these large yellow spots behind and below each eye and on the lower jaw. It also has a significant sexual dimorphism with much smaller males than large females. This was probably a female that's at Mason. And a dark head with yellow stripes on the neck, chin, and limbs. And I'm showing you a website that gives you more information about this map turtle. So here I am on August 30th. I had found the iNaturalist reference and started looking for this turtle species, and finally photographed the individual on this date. So far, that's the only sighting I've made, even though I've gone through this area a couple of times. You can see the size of the turtle, and you can see those yellow spots. So I hope you now have a better understanding of the non-native turtle species of Mason Regional Park. Especially the red-eared is an invasive species. This has been another of my JDW talks. I have YouTube talks on genealogy topic census, Ellis Island immigration, and naturalization. I have about 100 videos online. Half of them are in genealogy. I have natural history topics, virtual birding field trips, optics for birding, California birds, Mason Park nature notes, and then some areas that I'm interested in, novelty zithers, biology songs, I don't think you want to hear me sing, and a daybed disassembly. So enjoy the outdoors of Orange County, California, and understand ecosystems and disruption of them and conservation topics. Bye-bye.